Greetings and God bless. Sorry about the lighting here. So I just wanted to do a video about community, and I have recently been living in Rapid City, South Dakota, for a little under 2 years, about a year and a half, and so I have lived in the plains, inland, northwest area. I lived in Montana for some time before now. And and I've never learned how to drive. So I'm a pedestrian and I'm having to navigate aggressive drivers, engineered streets that are just engineered for pretty much for drivers, and where drivers never encounter a pedestrian, maybe ever, or maybe once a month or something like that. So they're very upset when the light is actually saying pedestrians can cross. They don't even know that pedestrians have a right of way. And I have also experienced this when I was living in Virginia. So something I've noticed when the drivers are just very entitled, and when drivers are very aggressive, people don't walk, people don't bike, people aren't taking their dogs for a walk, they're not skateboarding, they're not just outdoors when it's just too stressful to walk. And there's no people in wheelchairs. There's no elderly people walking. There's no blind people walking. Now, I grew up in New York City, so there would be elderly people, like 90-year-old people taking the bus or the subway or walking. I would see blind people. I would see people in wheelchairs. But since I've been living, like when I was living in Montana, I mean, every once in a while you'd see somebody in a wheelchair. When I was living in San Francisco, yeah, all the time. San Francisco, New York, you'd see elderly people taking public transportation and blind people walking, anywhere. And so when I'm noticing, just my personal experience, when a street is so unfriendly, when it's so car centric, nobody wants to walk, and then everybody bashes people for being overweight or whatever, being unhealthy. And it's interesting because people will bash pedestrians too. Like, I've been in the car and a driver will complain about somebody. So there'll be like 20 blocks between street crossings, in some places. Like, even when I was living in Portland, it'd be like 20 blocks before you could get to cross the street, like at a light. And so drivers are so mad at pedestrians for crossing because they needed to cross. Not like, why should somebody have to go 2 miles to cross the street? I mean, and this is Portland. So Portland, it promotes itself. It's totally a bait and switch. It promotes itself as being so green and bike friendly, and you would think pedestrian friendly. So drivers get so mad at pedestrians when, let's say, a pedestrian is crossing at what appears to be in the middle of nowhere. But if a driver just bothers to remember that they too are a pedestrian and that they too, every once in a while, do actually have to walk, they could actually maybe think, oh, that there is no crosswalk. But drivers are completely oblivious about the experience, the plight of pedestrians. Drivers are just, they've got other things because they're drivers. So they're in this other reality. They're in this other universe, this parallel universe. And pedestrians really don't matter. And pedestrians are a nuisance in this driver's mentality. The thing is, though, the engineers that make these horrible, dangerous car-centric streets, the like all the people that are pushing this, and the investors, where they're living? Are they living in the middle of, like, high-rise, sterile streets, empty, just concrete? Are they living there? No. Where they're living is a tiny, charming, walkable area where people are, driving their little prams and they're walking their dogs and they're having their little their little jogging or so there's such incredible hypocrisy and a double standard because these decision makers and those who implement. I mean, that's like so we have these globalists who could not care. They want all humans to die so that the globalists can have all the pieces and everything. But the greedy, social climbing, just insecure people who have no integrity, they're so ready to throw the rest of us under the bus because they got to protect their company, because they want to make their next promotion or something like that. So forget about people, low income people in a little area that need to walk, and the children that need safety, and the adults that need safety, and the elders that need safety. Nobody cares about that. So I notice in like certain cities, they really could care less about pedestrians. Unless it's like the tourist area. Once in a while, they care, um, and I really notice that here. And so when a city and when a community thinks pedestrian safety is a joke, like I was trying to cross the street. There was two police officers across the street, and somebody took a sharp left, even though it was my light. And I'm very fastidious about the lights. I'm like, okay, when it's my light, I'm gonna go. But it seems like drivers are like, when it's my turn to cross, drivers are like, oh, I'm going. And like I'm in a safe part. I'm in South Dakota. I'm in downtown. Some drivers will be like, oh well, they're scared of you, you know, or they just don't know or something, and it's like if a driver doesn't know how to drive safely, they don't get to have a license. But drivers would never accept that. Drivers are like, unless you've burned out your eyes, you get to drive recklessly, And so when cities and communities do not care about pedestrians, about different demographics, because so this car cut me off, and these two officers, I'm like, crossing the street and getting to the sidewalk, and they're like laughing, good natured. They're like, "Oh, isn't that funny? Somebody cut you off." It's not funny. It's not funny because it happens all the time. But drivers are like, they're never walking, so they're not inconvenienced by it, and they actually give, like, I see a lot of people just giving away their right of way, and that's bad too. Like, I think uh people don't know that pedestrians have the right of way when it's their light or whatever. And my point is when a city makes it so hard to walk, so hard to do the basics, like go to the store, go to the laundromat, go to the post office, when like every step of the way has aggressive homeless people or aggressive drivers or brutal weather and no shelter, intense blazing heat and no trees, just concrete. So there's no store for you to buy soda while you're walking 2 miles to get anywhere. When a city is so indifferent, it makes it like so impossible. It's like impossible to do anything extraordinary. Like, since I have been in Rapid, my quality of life has plummeted, and I can barely do the basics, like stuff that I took for granted, you know, a year ago. Like I don't even do a lot of it now because it's just like this place sucks the life force out of you. and I'm talking about Rapid City. There's other cities that do so, in some ways, but man, this has definitely been the most life-sucking place. So if you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist, yeah, if you have like if you can spend $40 a day every time you want to take the cab, because that's how much it is. It's basically $20 to go one way anywhere, any distance, that you would be hiring a cab, and you might have to wait an hour to get that cab. So you might be waiting 2 hours for your cab, paying $40, and so that's yeah. And so people buy a car because it's insane to try to be here without one. And that and then people are going to complain about traffic. They're going to complain about parking. And if only drivers here in the city actually cared to make this place safe and welcoming to those of us who want to walk, those of us who want to bike. So yeah, I just Rapid is just been a horrible place in so many levels. I am not surprised, like how like just the just it's like it seems like it's under like some sort of witchcraft like spell or something like that, because it's just horrible here. And I'm trying to get out, and oh, just try to look at the Greyhound, like just plot a trip, go from like try to go to one way or the other outside of South Dakota, and you have to go to like Oregon in order to get to Colorado. You have to go to Wisconsin in order to get to Minnesota. I mean, it is just such. I mean, if they couldn't make being in Rapid harder than they do, it's as if it has been engineered. How can we make it the most miserable, horrible experience for somebody who doesn't have a car and has a limited budget? How can we make it horrible? And I'm sure after this video that I do, I'm sure Rapid's gonna find something, some other way, and some people would be like, "Oh, I'm being unbiblical for saying this kind of thing, for acknowledging these difficulties." I don't know. I mean, like, uh, stating reality, stating reality is not uh, being dark, and this is an opinion, and so many people absolutely love it here. And that's why I am happy to leave, because I'm not happy here. So let somebody else, you know, go through all this crap. I may Rapid get a million more people like themselves, and million more people who do what they do, and maybe they'll be happier. Like I have a different, more. I think I'm more community minded, and that's not what Rapid wants. Or their version of community minded is drivers get to have drivers are the kings of the road. That's the thing. Like what the heck is a pedestrian doing here? Get out of here, die already. That's the Rapid City motto, my impression of Rapid City for people that walk and bike. And it's very few people, and they're, give them a lot of credit, because it is like, this is definitely the worst, like the most evil place, I would say, because it is so indifferent, considering how horrible the weather conditions are. I mean, the sidewalks are not ADA compliant. It is There's so many trip hazards here. It what not to do in your city engineering, come to Rapid City. You will see so many sidewalks that have these crazy high trip hazards. They do it on purpose. They have these crazy gutters that go at this extreme angle, right at the curb. So I saw this lady get totally injured. She had a concussion and bad bruise because so she parked her car. She was on her way to a hairdresser's appointment. The gutter, so the street, like you think the street is going to be like this and go to the curb. No, no, the street was like this crazy 45-degree angle. It was built for rainwater, but it was parking, and this lady, her so she fell. She It was totally engineered by the city. I mean, whoever designed these streets did not expect this parking to actually have people walking on it. And they expected everybody to be like totally nobody sleep deprived, nobody in a rush. She had her coffee, so she spilled her coffee, her hands were full. Oh, nobody's like that. Nobody is like that after they parked their car and at 8 in the morning trying to get to appointment. Nobody, everybody has everything is taken care of, right? Nobody is um has their hands full or is ever in a rush or is ever tired or is ever fatigued. I mean, the most incompetent city engineering come to Rapid. You will be shocked. You will be amazed. And Rapid should be so ashamed. So many trip hazards here. I thought, like when I was living in Missoula, I saw a lot of trip hazards, but they had a lot, most I would say ADA compliant mostly the streets, but here, oh my gosh, and I bet they get funding. I bet they get ADA compliant funding here in Rapid City. It is such a despicable, disgusting, shameful place because these are Christians. There's Christians here. This is a big Christian area, and they just don't care, don't know, and it would be people like me that would have to fight for what is basic human rights everywhere else. But you know, that's nobody cares. I'm gonna be the only one that cares. And maybe like, two other people would care. So Rapid City gets what it invests in and what it finds as a priority. But want to know what not to do in terms of your sidewalks, in terms of your ramps on your sidewalks, in terms of safety of the gutters where the parking and the curb is. Want to know what not to do? Come to downtown Rapid City. Like I believe it's like Quincy and like 6th and 5th. Um, yeah, I think that you'll be shocked. It'll be totally worth learning what not to do. Rapid City is the winner of the Darwin Awards of the worst sidewalks, of the most un ADA compliant, like the most shameful ADA violations. I would say Rapid City wins by a mile. I mean, and this isn't going to be the last city I've ever walked around, but it so far as of May 31st, 2022, Rapid City is the winner of the worst city for pedestrians, for people parking, for any vulnerable population that's trying to walk safely. Imagine it's raining, it's snowing, but they have each sidewalk has this crazy, huge uh, thing coming out of the cement. So it's like this. It's literally like it's probably thicker than this. So here's the sidewalk, but then they have this huge thing bumping out of the ground. I have never seen. I'm a lifelong pedestrian. I have never seen such trip hazards built in. And maybe the doctors need more broken ankles and broken legs, and so so they can improperly, so it doesn't get set, because you see a lot of limping people around here. I don't know if it's from the sidewalks, but when I hurt my foot, the doctor didn't give me a boot, didn't give me a crutch, didn't give me a cast, didn't give me any suggestions other than raising my leg and putting ice on it. He all he did was give me radiation, just checking a bone. No kneeling scooter. I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't move. I couldn't do even stand up for very long. How was I going to get to the bathroom, for instance? I was just it's just such medieval care for something like that. It was like December of last year. It wasn't like 10 years ago when they just discovered how to help you when you've broken your foot, right? Because that must be new, right? No, this is Rapid City. We're in the what, 1200s, 1100s? Oh, maybe 5 AD, oh yeah. So poor doctor's so gotta have sympathy for him. Uh Even though my insurance paid for the visit, I just injured myself. He's at work, but people are always trying to tell me I shouldn't expect anything. So yeah, major disaster relocating here for my demographic. Now, if I had half a million to sink into an apartment or into a place and willing to pay property taxes for a shitty city, maybe I'd have better treatment. Maybe I'd have better connections. Maybe the doctor would have given me a boot. I don't know, but worst city I've ever relocated to. And yeah, if you are a street engineering student and you want to learn how to make your pedestrians and bicyclists and your disabled and fragile population, if you want to amplify injuries and misery, Rapid City is the place. And if you actually care about humans, if you want to actually be conducive and encourage people to walk, encourage people to bike, encourage people to be outside. Take a look at Rapid and avoid doing what they're doing. Instead, look at what they've been doing in New York and San Francisco for decades, for probably a century. And some genius in the civic design here probably was like, "Oh yeah, let's have the sidewalk so it's going to be flat and then up like this." So that when there's ice and snow and people are walking and they can barely see, they can trip. Yeah, and give more hospital visits for the hospital, right? Because we got to make money, because that's all that matters. Safety doesn't matter, right? No, it's not what I found to be the case here in Rapid. And I know there's going to be some locals who will dislike what I have to say. When people are sheltered, when they're in their little invisible gated community and you're only going to the mall and home, or out to the ranch and to this other distant location where everything is level, where actually somebody with common sense actually set it up, of course you're going to think I'm wrong. But come down here, come and actually see what I'm talking about, because it's a whole other experience than maybe where you are, where somebody had common sense, rather than some genius who had some sort of brain damage because it's just such poorly designed sidewalks here. So, though, that's my little rant. And this is a year and a half of frustration in the worst conditions and unfriendly conditions. And yes, I have been blessed to have some people help me. And you know what? If they didn't help me, I don't know where I'd be. I mean, I have had to scrape the bottom barrel of everything to just endure here. And a city should not do that. A city should not be such an ordeal, like a prison planet hellscape kind of a thing. And that is what Rapid City has been. Like, there is very little here that, makes it a redeeming experience. I came because my mom's side of the family is from South Dakota, and I had fond memories of when I was here, when I was a little kid. So, I thought it would be, really nice, and it has just been terrible. Just like, I need a vacation. I need, like, a healing retreat to recover from the nightmare that is Rapid City, South Dakota. So enough of that. God bless.